Come on, Annie. Let's go to the movies.
This is the Cinereelists episode 582. My name is Kyle.
My name is James.
And my name is Zach.
And we're here to talk about movies, movie lists, and movie obsession for the next hour or so. You guys did something pretty interesting last week with the podcast.
We did?
Yeah. You did the Chat GPT is going to write this podcast episode.
Oh, yeah. I made that up after the fact. Yeah, sure.
Well, so at the very beginning, there was a AI generated Zach essentially like doing an introduction that I assume Chat GPT wrote.
Right.
And that got me thinking, like, what do we need to do to have a complete AI generated podcast episode? Like, at what
really
point
easy.
Can we just like say to Chat GPT, like, write a review of this movie using these three hosts, hear their voices, and make it a podcast or make it an audio recording?
It'd be super easy to do.
I'd be curious to try that.
I mean, I could do it in less time than it would take to record a podcast episode.
I mean, that's maybe what we start doing is like none of this record live. Let's just AI generate it all out there.
Well, let's ask the filmmaker, James, what he thinks about
James.
As a filmmaker.
As a filmmaker, what do you think?
What do I think? I think there's a day where that could happen for sure. I believe Zach could absolutely generate that, but I also believe it would be unlistenable. But interesting to listen to, maybe one episode. But there might be a day where you could do it and people could actually listen to it and it would sound interesting.
No, you could. It's just that's not, I think, what anyone is looking for, right? Just a fabricated false opinions of what we think about movies.
I mean, people are looking for images that are fabricated, not by a human. So why wouldn't they be interested in opinions, not
I think Zach is saying what our audience is not looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if they don't know the difference, what does it matter?
Yeah. So again, like I think there are potential podcasts that people can make that would be interesting to have good audiences that are AI generated. But the reason I do this podcast is not just to put out random content. It's actually just express myself. And that would not be doing that.
Sure.
James, this Zach bot's impressive. Like you did some good work on this thing.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, I agree that the fun of the podcast is not clicking publish on something.
Yeah.
But
yeah, James.
Whatever's going on in Zach's head is way more interesting than our talk on ChatGPT.
For sure. I want to hear about Jacob not sleeping.
Yeah. All right. Do you want my kids to come on? They're not sleeping.
Sure.
Yeah, please,
hey guys,
bring
come
them
here
on.
real quick.
Bring
You're
them
gonna be on the podcast real quick, and then you got to go to bed. Okay. Here, come here, buddy. When you take pictures, yes. You want to say hi to the podcast?
Hi, Jacob.
This is Jacob.
Do you see my room?
Yes,
Yeah.
I do. Do you want to say hi, James? Hi, Kyle.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, Jacob.
Daddy, it's messed up. It's
That's right.
messy.
That's messed up. Jacob, what is your favorite movie?
Leo Sweat.
Leo the Truck. Absolutely.
Leo the truck. All right. Well,
Now-
listener suggestion right there. So it's going on the watch list.
Now, Jacob, Leo the Truck is a video, not a movie. What's your favorite movie?
Oh, okay.
Paw Patrol?
Mm.
There's
one.
Paw Patrol movies.
Yeah. No, the Paw Patrol movie is his favorite.
Yeah.
The Paw Patrol movie. Okay.
All right, now Kayla's going to talk, okay? Hey, Kayla, what's your favorite movie?
Kanto.
You like Encanto?
That's a
Yeah,
good
it's
one.
a fun one.
Okay,
No,
Encanto.
I want to say it.
What do you want to say about movies?
Right into the microphone.
I like Leo Sweat.
You like Leo the Truck. What do you like about Leo the Truck?
Leo them open boxes.
Where they open
I
boxes.
want to do that.
He loves
like that.
toy unboxing videos.
Oh.
Let's do that like that.
All right, now, do you guys want to say goodnight?
Let's do that.
Yeah, you're doing that right now. All right, say goodnight, night.
Night.
Good night,
Good
night.
night, Jacob. Bye, Kayla.
Jacob, I want you to go to
They
bed,
can't hear
okay?
us.
I know.
tomorrow. Go to bed now.
I mean, he is right in toys or Ryan's toy review demo for sure.
Well, he's never seen that one.
Oh, okay.
But there's one where they just play with trucks and Legos and stuff.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like no one's talking. It's just playing with.
Oh, so it's like an ASMR video for kids.
Yeah, for sure.
Zach, do you use YouTube Kids?
No.
I'm just going to say, after letting Galen have the Wild Wild West on his YouTube for a couple of weeks, we went over to YouTube Kids.
he
Well,
dug a little
never-
deep.
Yeah, I mean, like he was good, and he would say like, "Oh, I found this video I shouldn't be watching," or he'd like, "Oh, that's got some words in it," and I'd usually be there next to him, so I was aware of what was going on.
Right.
But there was this one video came through. I was like, "Nope, okay, we're done. We can't be doing this anymore."
They're never on YouTube without like us watching with them.
Right.
That's
next
good.
to them.
Yeah, that's good.
That's a
Nice thing about YouTube Kids is now I can like be in the house in the same area, but I don't have to be like we're there right next to him. I feel much more comfortable.
right. And there's a much smaller percentage chance they're just going to stumble upon something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
For sure. Yeah. So the ChatGPT episode was fun. It was good. It was a little chaotic, but a good time.
I mean, ChatGPT doesn't know it needs to know more about network. Apparently, it doesn't know what year it won the Oscar or that it even win the Oscar. There was.
Yeah, I would not trust it for my Oscar stats.
I think that's that's the kind of the scariest part, or one of the scary parts, is just how like ChatGPT can just brazenly lie. It doesn't know it's lying, but just how much people will accept whatever ChatGPT spits out as fact or truth.
Yeah. It's like what people's fears of Wikipedia were.
Right.
It actually is.
Yeah.
Like Wikipedia is by and large very accurate. And this one is, 70% accurate.
Right.
Because you guys didn't question at all that Network, even though it came out as 76, also won the Best Picture in 76, which it didn't even win in the first place. Like it spit out a question. You guys took it at face value.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, that was kind of the
Exactly.
point. Whatever it said, we were going to go with, even though
Right.
it said that I was a filmmaker and stuff like that.
But like it's still like, even though you guys were using it for a fun exercise,
Right.
people are also using it for much more serious purposes and getting the same inaccurate results.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep. Definitely. It was fun though. Maybe we'll do it again. Maybe when they release GPT-5.
Ooh.
Yeah.
We can use some Mid-Journey to like change our faces.
Sure. I was kind of like, not that I'm like paranoid about my privacy or anything like that, but I don't like using my last name on things on the internet.
Yeah.
Like in general. I've loosened that up in recent years just because I've had to for like marketing purposes, because I work freelance stuff. So, but I'm pretty controlling. Like if you look up my name, you won't even get to my Twitter account type of thing, because I don't need prospective clients looking through my political rants on Twitter, stuff like that. So, so I was kind of happy that it really didn't know much about me. You know what I mean? As the host of this podcast,
yes.
It didn't know much about me. I'm sure it knows a lot about me if I put my first and last name in, but as the host of this podcast.
There was you guys did like a little bio on me that ChatGPT created.
Mm-hmm.
And there was something like, as a so-and-so, Kyle brings his unique viewpoints to movies, or something very much like that. And that is very similar to part of my resume on LinkedIn.
Really? It
Really,
copied
yeah.
some and then
Yeah,
like swapped out some words.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it somehow took some of the phrasing I use on my resume and then like twisted it to fit into the podcast. So
Sure. So you put the podcast on your LinkedIn resume?
no, but it somehow must have figured out,
Right.
that this Kyle, because my name's pretty common. Like
Sure.
it's not super unique,
Yeah.
but somehow I figured out that the Kyle Peterson they're talking about is the same as this LinkedIn Kyle Peterson. So
All right. Interesting.
I don't know.
I don't know either. We'll do it again someday.
It'd be
Hopefully
fun.
when it's better. All right. Let's do a little bit of housekeeping before we jump into the listener email and discussion on Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Before we do all that, the housekeeping is there's a video version of this podcast on YouTube. Go to youtube.com/Cinereelists. Find us there, subscribe, and watch while you listen. You could also support us on Patreon at patreon.com/Cinereelists. Get extra after show audio amongst other Cinereelist swag. You could also leave an Apple Podcast review. We'd appreciate that. 5 stars only. Or send us a listener email to heyguys@cinereelists.com, REEL with an S on the end. Send a comment, a question, a list suggestion, a movie suggestion, any of those kinds of things. We're going to poke through some listener email right now, starting with an email that Kyle's going to read. Kyle?
Yeah, this is from friend of the show, Troy. He sent us a top 10, last 10.
Nice.
Number 10, a movie called Gwen Shamblin, Starving for Salvation. Give that 2.5 stars. Number 9, I Got a Monster. It's a good documentary on a shocking true life event. So one of you guys should watch it.
It's like a brand new movie, too.
Yeah, 2023. Yep. Number 8, In the Mood for Love, Wong Kar-wai classic. He enjoyed it. Number 7, Gattaca. Finally watched it. He's a bit unsure about some of the elements, so maybe Troy isn't smart enough for Gattaca, just like me. Zach, maybe you can explain Gattaca to Troy sometime. Let's see, number 6, Kill Bok-soon, another 2023 movie. This is Korean. Lots of blood.
Martial arts movie.
Yeah. Number 5, Champions. Let's see. It's a Woody Harrelson movie.
It's a basketball
I haven't heard
movie.
of this one. You have?
Yeah, because it was on my basketball list.
Oh, okay.
top
So
10
it must be
basketball.
from. That's why. All right.
Mhm.
Number 4, Black Narcissus from 1947. This is a movie that James you watched recently.
Black Narcissist?
Yeah, the Black
Narcissus.
Narcissus. Narcissus. My bad. Narcissus.
In a very different movie if it was Black Narcissist. Sounds like a blaxploitation movie. Yes, it's one that I recently watched. I think it was on a top 10 last 10 of mine recently, and it was
and it's good.
It was great. It was awesome.
He
Reminds
liked
me
it a
that
lot.
there are old movies I can still enjoy.
Number 3, The Pez Outlaw, another documentary on an interesting subject you know little to nothing about.
I know everything about Pez, so I don't need to watch it.
You think this is about the Pez, the candy?
Of course it is.
All right. Well, you should watch the documentary and find out. Number 2, Boston Strangler, another 2023 movie. He is a fan of true to life serial killer movies. Keira Knightley was great.
All right.
And his number 1 top 10 last 10 was War for the Planet of the Apes from 2017. It's his second favorite of the Planet of the Apes reboot trilogy.
Yeah. Have you guys seen the third Apes movie in the most recent?
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
Dawn?
No, that's War.
Or is that War?
That's War.
Oh, yeah. It's like half of it's like a prison escape movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was good. I like that one.
It's very
I liked it too.
dramatic.
It bombed really hard. Nobody saw it. Didn't seem like anybody liked it. It's kind of dark.
It's very dramatic.
Yeah. I mean, isn't like an ape like crucified in that one? Like practically.
Maybe practically.
Right. Like they spray him out like on a rock.
That might
And then-
that might happen.
Yeah. The allegory is a little thick, I think, here and there.
Yes. It's the first movie to ever use Jesus imagery as an allegory.
Sure. Lots of true crime docs on this list.
I think Troy's a fan.
Yeah.
Zach, do you have our next email?
I do. But I want to say to Troy and our other Canadian listeners, I'm going to Canada in a month.
Where in Canada?
Prince Edward Island,
Oh,
Okay.
which is in the Far East,
why?
with my family.
That's who. I asked why.
For vacation.
For vacation
Oh, okay.
because it's beautiful. Have you ever read Anne of Green Gables?
No.
No, I've not. No.
You should. It's good. That's where she's from.
So I have to read about the imagery.
Well, I mean, some people do that for fun, Kyle.
Read about imagery? Weird.
Yeah.
My mind's eye.
Okay, this next email is from Logan. What up, James, Kyle, and Zach? This email comes to you in celebration of me picking up Inland Empire on Criterion. David Lynch is one of my favorite directors, maybe number one, and it's the last movie in his filmography I haven't seen, so I'm stoked. I also have not seen Inland Empire, but I've been meaning to for a while. You guys don't talk about David Lynch too much, and the few times that he's come up, I get the impression that none of you particularly care for his movies. I may be wrong about that, but this is an official listener suggestion for each of you to watch a David Lynch film you haven't seen and talk about it on the show. He can be a very challenging director, but his work always has a lot to digest, and I think it'd be great to hear your guys' thoughts. If you hate whatever movie you watch, don't sugarcoat it. Keep it Cinereal with me. Good luck. Friend of the show, Logan.
Nice.
So, would you guys say that you are fans of David Lynch or not?
I would say of what I've seen, even the stuff that I don't like, I don't regret watching, if that makes
Okay.
sense. And there's definitely a couple that I've seen that I liked, actively liked. And I'm a big fan of Twin Peaks, which is more palatable than a lot of the movies that I've seen from him. And if more of his movies were more like Twin Peaks, I'd probably like most of his stuff more. But yeah, Twin Peaks is peak TV.
Peak TV.
Mm-hmm.
I would say I appreciate David Lynch. I don't really have any highs or lows.
Mm-hmm.
All his movies kind of land in the middle for me.
Okay.
But I do appreciate that he has an artist's eye. He's not just making a movie. Like, he has a point of view and a perspective. And sometimes it works for me, and sometimes it's a Mulholland Drive and it doesn't.
I've seen 5 Lynch films. One of them is Mulholland Drive, which is a 5 out of 5 film for me. It's, I think, a masterpiece. I absolutely love that movie. I've also seen Blue Velvet, which is a movie I did not care for, Eraserhead, The Elephant Man, and Dune. And I would say he only has one like sure hit for me, and that's Mulholland Drive. But that is absolutely enough for me to say that I'm very pro David Lynch as a director. Like, just give me that one masterpiece, and you're kind of on my in list for quite a while.
Sure.
It's why I want to watch Inland Empire. It's why I want to watch Lost Highway. I've never really been too interested in Twin Peaks, but I know James is a fan. So yeah, so I will wholeheartedly take on the challenge that Logan has brought.
Yeah, in fact, we're already planning a Lynch episode
We are.
for late summer.
Yeah, my 2 Lynch holes are Eraserhead and Elephant Man. There's other ones, like I haven't seen Inland Empire, Wild at Heart, others, but I think it's like the 2 most, some of his most well-known ones I've not seen. So I need to get into those.
I think I've seen most of his well-known. I don't know. People might debate what well-known means, but Blue Velvet, Elephant Man, Wild at Heart, Inland Empire, those are the ones I have not seen. Seen the other ones. So
Yeah.
But I'm into it. He's weird. I'm into it. All right.
Totally. So thanks, Logan.
Yes, we have another email here. This one is titled Hello Cool Cats. It's from Eveline Sale. Eveline writes, "Hi guys, how are you first of all and most important? How are you guys?"
I'm great.
I'm
Awesome.
doing pretty good. Thank you.
She writes, "I'm not much of a movie person like my husband Josh. The other day, though, I watched Where the Crawdads Sing. I really liked the colors of the movie and the beauty. It transported you somewhere special. Josh just said you have mentioned it on one of your episodes. I saw that movie twice and liked it."
I saw it once and it was fine.
Sure. I feel like we debated about this, didn't we?
Yeah, we might have done a whole after show on Where the Crawdads Sing. Yep.
I think it was a Patreon episode. Yep. Eveline continues, "I unfortunately missed out on Pearl and Cocaine Bear due to funds. I love really unique and just what the heck did I watch type movies. can't wait till they get to streaming. I'm excited for The Iron Claw and When You Finish Saving the World. I know what When You Finish Saving the World is. I think that's an A24 movie with Jesse Eisenberg in it, I think.
Okay.
And I do not know what Iron Claw is. Never heard of that movie.
It's also an A24 film. And I think it looks like it's about wrestling.
Oh, is this with Zac Efron?
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like it's a dynasty of wrestlers who made a huge impact on the sport from the 60s to the present day.
Okay.
So
and When You
it might-
Finish the World does not have Jesse Eisenberg in it, but it is his directorial debut.
Oh.
So that's where I got the association from, evidently. Evelyn
Well,
wraps
you know
it
the
up.
acting's going to be good.
Yeah. It's because it's got Julianne Moore in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's going to be really,
It's going to be
really
amazing.
intense. Yeah.
Zach will be transported by the acting. He won't even know he's watching a movie.
Yeah, it'll just be 2 hours where you can just like be fully absorbed.
Yep. Award-winning actress. Well, again, I really do hope you guys are doing well from your cat friend in Australia. Peace, Evelyn. Thanks, Evelyn.
I want to know what type of cat she has.
Does it matter?
It does.
It could be brown or black.
Kyle, no,
Tabby?
No. How come people are so much more familiar with dog breeds than cat breeds?
Because nobody cares about cat
No one cares about
breeds.
cat breeds. That's why.
That's not
They all
true.
kind of look the same, except they have a little different fur coat.
No, cats can look very different depending on the breed.
I agree. It's just nobody cares that they look different.
No.
Unless they're like Siamese, hairless. That's the only one people care about.
Mm, I beg to differ. I bet some listeners could weigh in on this.
Oh, I'm sure cat people have lots of opinions about cats.
Sure. I think the problem is the range isn't like the size range isn't as vast enough as when compared to dogs. I mean, dogs, you can have like a dog that's like this big or one that's like
Wait, hold on. How big can you have a
practically a
dog?
human.
Can you
Like
show me the
this
dog
big.
again? Between your two fingers, your thumbs and your fingers?
Yeah,
No,
call it
like-
a puppy.
Like this big. Like
What,
about
what
as
dog
big as
breed is
my
that?
glass.
What dog breed is that?
You can get like a toy chihuahua that's like this big.
I don't think it's quite that big.
No, I swear.
For those at home, James is holding up an imaginary sandwich.
It's like the it's like the size
the
of
size
a
of a
large
banana.
It's like the
Yeah.
size of a large rat. A medium rat. Maybe not large.
I think you're thinking of a gerbil.
No, I'm not. They're not very common. You're not going to see them walking around because you step on that thing, it's done. But thank you for the email, Evelyn. I think we've
Evelyn?
discussed this before. Evelyn. And Kyle has another email for us.
I do. This is from Justin. The subject is regarding best basketball movies, episode number 578. And Justin says, just needed to say, Air Bud 1997 was robbed. So James, Zach, why was an Air Bud on your list for best basketball movies?
because I haven't seen Air Bud.
Because I haven't seen Air Bud.
I haven't. Oh, we might need to have watch Air Bud now.
No, we do not have to watch Air Bud. I without having seen Air Bud, and this might piss some people off, I know exactly what I'll think about Air Bud, and that's why I don't need to watch it.
Here's what I don't understand about Air Bud. Also, not having seen it, I could understand a dog being a good shooter. I could see a dog sinking some 3-pointers,
Sure.
but I don't see how they could not be constantly traveling. I don't see a dog dribbling, at least in a way that's like undefendable.
They use their head.
I just don't see it. I don't think it's going to happen. I think it'd be easy to steal the ball away.
Yeah, it would have to like back into you in a weird way to like protect
Yeah.
the ball.
So I'm just thinking if he actually played for like a high school team, I think he'd constantly be getting fouls.
I think Air Bud played for a pro team, didn't he?
No, did he? I think it had to have been high school.
Yeah, I think Michael Jordan was out, so they brought Air Bud in to take him all the way.
I'd be shocked if it was a pro team.
I mean, it's a kids movie. I think, I don't know. I haven't seen it, but I thought that was part of it, is like, you know, they find out this dog can play and then it like works its way up to pro.
It sounds like
working
Zach has
his way up.
volunteered to watch this movie because he has the most questions about the mechanics of Air Bud skills.
No, I don't. Again, I don't have questions. I have concerns.
Okay.
The Timberwolves struggle at the championship game. That's
Okay.
the only line I'll read from the Wikipedia synopsis. And you tell
So-
me, does he play in a pro game or not?
No. No. There's no way.
He does. Yeah. Which is why I don't need to watch it. It's like, I know it's a feel good kids movie that probably doesn't play very well for adults watching it fresh today. But if you watch it as a kid, I'm sure there's value for you there. But that's why I don't need to watch it, because I didn't watch
There's
it
a
as
whole
kid.
franchise where he plays football, baseball,
Right.
Air Buddies, Air Bud Spikes back, who plays
He's playing
volleyball.
volleyball.
Yeah.
I can believe a volleyball playing dog because
But
you just got to hit the ball
basketball-
once.
Way too far.
Volleyball. Yeah, I could see a volleyball. I don't see him spiking, but he could be a libero.
I don't know. If he does like a little jump and gets that tail involved, that could be a little spike going on.
It's illegal. Can't do that.
Can't use your tail to spike the ball in volleyball.
No, you could, just like you can't bicycle kick a volleyball.
But you're not using your legs, you're using your tail.
You're only allowed to use your head and your hands.
I don't think you can use your head in volleyball.
You can header a volleyball, can't you?
No, you can no.
I don't think so. So, James, if you don't even know what part of the body you can use, I don't think you know what part of the body you can't use either.
You know
I
what?
seriously doubt there's a tail rule.
You know what's scary? In middle school, I played competitive volleyball, and I don't remember if you can use the head or not. It's been that
You
long.
can't.
Have you forgotten because you use your head a lot?
I feel like you could. Or is that soccer? I'm thinking. of?
That's soccer.
That's definitely soccer.
It's illegal to use your head or unadvisable to use your head.
I
just-
would guess illegal.
I just imagine James showed up in like this 7th grade competitive volleyball game and was just heading the ball all the time. And kids like, come on, man, you got to stop doing that. Like, no, it's fine. It's in the rules.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. That's enough Air Bud
It
talk
could
for.
accidentally. Wait, hold on.
Okay.
Okay.
You can use any part of your body
Right.
as long as the action's performed correctly.
Including your tail. All right.
And your head.
Vindication.
And your head.
And your head.
It's probably not a good idea, but you could use your head.
James,
All right.
James, no, Zach, you got another one for us, don't you?
Yeah, I do. This one is from Josh. Hi, James, Kyle, and Zach. Thank you for the alphabetical ordering. Here's my last 10 top 10 5-star edition. Basically, the last 10 first-time watches that I gave 5 stars, arranged by my least favorite to my most favorite. My list goes back to 2016, which means I give 5 stars on average 1 or 2 times a year. So what a cool idea for a list, right?
Yeah.
So these are all winners, and then he's
ranking the
the
winners
winners.
against each other.
Also, I like how he calls it a last 10 top 10. Number 10, we need to talk about Kevin.
Yeah.
Number 9, The Suicide Squad. And I'm glad he gave that 5 stars because I actually really like that movie, and it gets a bad rap as like a bad movie.
No, you're
But I-
thinking of
No, no,
Suicide
no.
Squad. This
You're-
is the Suicide Squad. This
Oh,
is the James Gunn one.
I didn't like that one. I liked the other one that people
Yes.
don't
Does
You
not bode well
and-
for today's review. Then.
That's all.
like. Okay. 8, Joker. 7, The Killing of Two Lovers. I don't know that one.
Yeah, you do. We talked about
Oh,
it.
is that the one
It
with
was
the
good.
where he's in a truck?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the truck
That was a good
movie.
one.
It was great. And
Yeah.
short. It was like 70 minutes or something.
I like how I can describe it as the one where he's in a truck and you're like, yeah, that's it. Number 6, Stalker. Great.
Mhm.
Great movie. Number 5, Ad Astra. Also a great movie. I like that a lot. Number 4, Come On, which is a movie I really wanted to watch and then just totally forgot about.
You should watch it. It's good.
Okay.
It's a feel-good movie with Joaquin Phoenix in it, which is rare.
Isn't it like an Ira Glass send up or something?
I believe he produced it.
Okay.
So I think it's
Number
like loosely based on him.
Number 3, You Were Never Really Here. Is that a Joaquin too?
It is.
Yep.
Yeah.
Number 2,
Not a feel good.
Manchester by the Sea.
Great feel good movie.
Yep. Super
Yeah.
uplifting.
Yeah, this plus like we need to talk about Kevin. He's got some real downers here. And then number 1, his most favorite 5-star film since 2016, A Most Violent Year, which was great.
Yeah.
Which was great.
I like that movie.
Would-
Yeah. I'm not sure it would be my favorite 5-star of the last 8 years or 7
I'm
years.
positive it
but-
would not be,
Right.
but it's a good movie. What would love to hear you discuss yours on a show. And I think that's a great idea. He says it's easy to do. And he says, letterboxed, diary, sort by your rating. That's his bullet list. Letterboxd, diary, sort by your rating. I'm going to do that now. Is this something we'll actually do on a show, or should we just quickly do it now?
I think we should save it for a show, personally.
Okay.
Kyle?
Because
Save
I need
it.
to rank them. Like,
Yeah.
I can list
need to
them
put some
you, but-
thought into this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I say we save it.
All right. You say we save it. I'm just taking a look. And I can't believe I gave Avatar The Way of Water 5 stars. What was I? I must have been glowing about Avatar The Way of Water.
It was
You were
awesome.
very
It was
excited
worth
for
5
Avatar.
stars.
Wow.
Maybe even
I
5
give a
and a
lot
half.
of movies 5 stars.
Mm-hmm.
This is troubling.
Zach's list goes back 6 months.
No, it does. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Goes back to October 2020.
Oh, so his
just-
list is not like rank all movies that you've given 5 stars. It's rank the last 10 5-star movies.
Yes.
Right.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
As always, love the show. Never miss an episode. Evelyn says, hi, cool cats. Josh.
Awesome. Thanks, Josh, for the email. We appreciate it. Thanks, everyone who sent us an email. We apologize if we didn't get to yours. We waited too long and they stacked up a bunch. So, but please continue to send us emails. Hey guys at Cinereelists.com, REEL with an S on the end. And we will discuss it on the podcast at some point. Let's move on to our main event discussion for the week. The movie is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. We're going to get into it right after this clip.
I miss you so much. And maybe if you open yourself up to it, there's a possibility.
I don't think so, Quinn.
Quill.
Quill. I don't think so.
Well, what I'm trying to say is...
Peter, you know this is an open line, right?
What?
We're listening to everything you're saying.
And it is painful.
And you're just telling me now?
We were hoping it would stop on its own.
But I switched it over to private.
What color button did you push?
Blue! For the blue suit!
Oh no.
Blue is the open line for everyone.
Orange is for blue.
What?
Black is for orange. Yellow is for green. Green is for red. And red is for yellow.
No, yellow is for yellow. Green is for red, red is for green.
I don't think so.
Try it then.
That was Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, a 2023 American superhero film based on the Marvel Comics superhero team Guardians of the Galaxy. This movie was directed and written by James Gunn. It's produced by Kevin Feige, and it stars Chris Pratt, Zoe Saldana, Dave Bautista, Karen Gillian, Palm Kementieff, Vin Diesel, Bradley Cooper, Will Poulter, Sean Gunn, Chikwudi Luigi, Linda Cardellini, Nathan Fillion, and Sylvester Stallone, amongst others. The official IMDb plot synopsis for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is: still reeling from the loss of Gamora, Peter Quill rallies his team to defend the universe and one of their own, a mission that could mean the end of the Guardians, if not successful. I think they could have chopped off the if not successful part.
They could also chopped off the still reeling from the loss of Gamora part.
Maybe.
It's a good setup.
Yeah, it just seems like extra dressing.
Sure. I mean, I think it's a reminder of kind of what happened the last time we got a Guardians movie, which was 2017. That's a long time ago in Marvel time.
Yeah.
For sure.
I forgot about the Gamora thing.
I had two.
So remind me, this Gamora, is she a different multiverse Gamora, or is she a Gamora that they pulled from the same timeline but like before the Guardian events? Anyone remember?
Don't remember that distinction, but she's not the same Gamora. It's not it's not like a Gamora that got her memory erased. It's literally a different Gamora.
Oh no, but I mean what I'm saying is like I thought this was a time traveling Gamora. Like they brought this Gamora from their timeline, but before she met the Guardians.
I think that's true.
It's the same Gamora, but she doesn't have like the memories that dead Gamora has.
Honestly, I don't think that there's a difference between an alternative universe Gamora from that time and the past Gamora from that time. I think it's the exact same thing if it takes place in the past. Because the multiverse, like, you know, it branches from like events and presents, right? So if you go before the branch, it's the same.
Right, but in theory, if they pluck Gamora from a different timeline, then that timeline no longer has a Gamora. Does that make sense?
Sure.
I just couldn't remember where this Gamora came from, and it's I can't remember if they did it in like Infinity or Endgame or one of those movies.
Were they in multiverse at all back then? I think it was all time stuff.
Yeah, it was all time travel for Endgame. So this must be a time traveling Gamora. I don't know. It probably doesn't really matter that much. I was just trying to remember where she came from.
Sure. The point is, the Gamora in Guardians of the Galaxy 3 doesn't remember who Peter is and generally only remembers her sister, from what I can tell.
Has never met Peter before.
Right.
It's not that she doesn't remember. It's not like a Letty situation from Fast and Furious. She just doesn't know these people at all.
Sure. All right. So Guardians of the Galaxy 3, we have seen it. I think we're gonna do kind of a brief spoiler-free overview of what we thought about this movie, and then pretty quickly move into spoilers because it's kind of the last film. It's been out a week or so, and I just want to talk about this and the other Guardians movies without really, thinking about it too much. So, what did you guys think broadly of this third Guardians of the Galaxy movie? Who's seen it most recently?
I saw it last week.
I saw it a couple days ago.
All right, Zach,
all right, go for it, Zach. Tee up.
I'm a fan of the Guardians in general. I found this movie to not be great for a few reasons. One, I would say the things I like about the team are not really there. Okay. One, we get very little Rocket as part of the team. Okay. So there's not the his quips throughout the movie, right? We get none of that really. Until later, little pockets of it, but very much we don't get little quips from Rocket. Peter Quill is not necessarily super lighthearted most of the time. Gamora is non-existent as far as the Gamora we know. Drax says so little that's funny, right? I count on Drax to have these one-liners that are just really funny, and we just do not get a ton of that. We got more Mantis. I liked Mantis in this. This was my favorite Mantis film, and I felt like she actually used her powers in a way that was very effective and powerful, and those kind of things. So we didn't get a lot of the team. I felt like this movie had some real dark stuff in it. It got real dark to the point of my wife was she likes Guardians movies. She's like, oh, I want to go. I saw it and I was like, don't ever see this movie. You will hate this movie because of like some of the darkness in it and the things that they do to some of these characters. It's just not a happy day, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And to throw that in the middle, I mean, it's effective, it's emotional, it's dramatic, it's like poignant, but it's not fun. That's for sure. And it's really sad. I will say we get a really good Rocket performance. I think he's a great character and super interesting. And I was really interested in his character arc and things that happened to him. But man, there's a lot of darkness there. And I liked the villain. I found the villain interesting. And I enjoyed him. Although after I left the theater, I was reading more about the villain from the comic books. And I think there's a lot of interesting nuance and stuff going on with him that the movie didn't bother with.
Mm-hmm.
And I would have enjoyed more of that complexity added to the character, which we didn't get so much of. So there's good and bad, but ultimately it felt a little heavy and not as fun as I look for in a Guardians movie.
All right.
I would say that, Zach, I pretty much agree with you on every point, though I think I like this movie a tad more than you did. That being said, I did find it tonally jarring to go from the team, what we have of the team, doing their James Gunn, quippy, teamy stuff, and then cutting to this Rocket Raccoon backstory, which is heavy. And James Gunn is definitely trying as hard as he can to make you feel for these characters that Rocket Raccoon encountered for his own origin, and lay it on pretty thick. And then we jump back to flying through the space to go fight some goopy monster of some sort or another. So I think that shift made it hard for me to fully get into the movie because we just kept going between tones. A lot of people talk about how much they like the Guardians movies for the soundtrack, right? The first one is an all 70s soundtrack. It's got some deep cuts. It's pretty great. Second one, very similar. And then this one with the introduction of the Zune, now they kind of can just play any song they want.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of that, some of the songs just felt obvious. Like we're using a pretty obvious Beastie Boys song, or it just didn't have this tonal connection of being like, oh, here are my mom's favorite songs from the 70s. Now it's just, oh, here's a Zune playlist that millennials will probably like. So I guess I felt a little bit more preachy to the crowd of like, hey, you remember kids, this movie, this song? You'll like it. Though I did really like the Space Hog sequence. I thought that was probably the best musical moment and just one of the funnest moments to watch in it. I really like Nebula as an addition to the Guardians. I think she's a great character, and Karen Gillan plays her so well that anytime Nebula was on screen, I was having a good time with her.
I was distracted that she's just wearing a t-shirt.
It was a little weird. Yeah, I do agree. Like it was like a dirty cut off sleeveless t-shirt.
Yeah.
And I like that this was small stakes. Like there was a bad guy and he had a plan, but there wasn't some, we have to save the universe, the multiverse, the cosmic whatever verse. It's just, we need to save our friend and maybe prevent some other destruction while we're at it.
Yeah. Y'all be crazy. This movie's awesome. This was great.
Surprise.
I definitely, have, you guys know, I have an affinity for James Gunn movies in general. And these are my favorite type of his movies, meaning the Guardians movies. Because I feel like he is able to inject the more palatable elements of his filmmaking personality into these movies and somehow make them acceptable to mainstream audiences. I mean, this is a guy that came up through like the trauma system. Yeah. And so the fact that these movies can kind of have a B movie feel, but like with an A movie presentation is like just an interesting balance. Another guy who can do that is the most successful filmmaker of all time by box office James Cameron, also a trauma guy who figured out how to make genre films on a much larger level that could have some heart in it, but also be a spectacle on some level.
Well, I thought you were going to say Steven Spielberg, to be honest.
He was not a trauma guy. No.
No, but he is a guy who could make genre films on a big level.
He definitely can. I agree. And Jaws is not a trauma film, but definitely follows a trauma film formula.
Right.
For sure. He figured out that Jaws wanted to be a trauma film. You know what I mean? Like with the shark not working and stuff like that. And Steven Spielberg wisely decided not to go that direction. Figured out other ways around it.
Different movie came out of that.
Right. Yeah. So I love James Gunn for that. And even movies that I don't necessarily prefer, like his Suicide Squad, which is a movie I like just comparatively to his Guardians output. I don't like it as much. I don't like those characters as much. I like that he's getting to play in these big sandboxes. And I just generally disagree that like, if we're going to agree about anything, it's that this is the darkest of all three Guardians movies because of what happens to one character. We got a real Weapon X situation going on here where you have to kind of show the extremes that a character has been put through in order to care at the end that they get through that obstacle. And I don't necessarily have a problem with that, but also, I don't know. We'd have to get into it, which we will in spoilers. But I know some people react very negatively when certain beings are put into situations. And I understand how, if you're sensitive to that, this is not the movie for you, for sure. But I still found it fun. I laugh every time Drax is on screen. He is easily my favorite of all these characters. I loved the digital performance and voice performance of Rocket Raccoon. Like it's amazing to me that what's his name does the voice for Rocket Raccoon.
Bradley Cooper.
And I never once think this is Bradley Cooper's voice. Like
So I was doing some reading up on this. I think we have to give credit to Sean Gunn though, because Sean Gunn does the mocap performance, and he did young Rocket Raccoon's voice also in this movie.
Interesting. Okay.
So yeah, I mean, like you could, for a while you could say Rocket Raccoon was 50-50 Sean Gunn, Bradley Cooper. And now it's like 60-30.
Sure.
Whatever, 66.
What was the other 10%?
The director. Thank you, James Gunn.
I wonder if they modulated his voice too in some of the flashbacks.
Oh, I'm sure they did to make him sound like a
young
child.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
And I also liked the needle drops. There are some obvious ones. Kyle pointed them out. I don't necessarily disagree that maybe they could have dug deeper, but there are some deep cuts on this soundtrack for sure. I mean, that Flaming Lips song is not a song that your average person knows or listens to, for sure. Or
I like that song.
What?
I like that song.
You like that song. I know,
Yeah.
but you're like a music person. Your average person knows No Sleep Till Brooklyn, but they don't know Do You Realize by the Flaming Lips from an album in the early 2000s. Absolutely. I mean, even the Bruce Springsteen song they picked was like not an obvious Bruce Springsteen song. It's like a deeper cut of his compared to the hits.
What I liked about the
everybody
music
knows.
in this one is they didn't use any songs that anyone had ever heard before.
Say that again.
What?
I liked how none of the songs were recognizable in this movie.
None of this. Sure.
Zach.
Okay. I understand what you're saying. I'm glad you liked it for that reason, Zach. It's not a reason I could attach to my watch, but
Zach,
that's great.
did you watch the Mario movie recently?
Yeah.
Then you've heard No Sleep Till Brooklyn before.
Yeah. Well, if you've seen any other Guardians of the Galaxy movie, you've heard at least one song in this third version. So, because they replay that song in this one. Yeah. I mean, I like the soundtrack. when the movie opens, this is not a spoiler because it's literally the beginning of the movie, and Rocket Raccoon starts singing Creep. I cringed a little, for sure. Creep by Radiohead.
Yeah.
And then it got better from there. At least it wasn't like the album version of Creep.
It was like an acoustic,
right?
Unplugged. The opening was odd though. Like the opening was dour. Like it just kind of set the tone for the movie, and maybe that's the point. But
yeah, they're digging themselves out of the muck. It's the point of the whole movie.
Their triumphant end. Okay.
I enjoyed it. I had fun with it. I understand if people react negatively to the darkness, but when I go see a James Gunn movie, I kind of feel like that's a built-in here and there. It's a little less with the first two Guardians, but this is on par with the rest of his filmography, I would say. So, all right. Anybody have anything else to say, or should we letterbox it and get into spoilers?
Oh man, it's kind of a horror show.
You really didn't like those.
I'll say that.
flashback
Well, I don't
scenes,
know.
huh?
No, it's a mixed bag. It's a mixed bag.
Sure. Do you think if you watched this movie and they cut that completely out, you would have thought it was a fun romp?
No, because you're still missing one of the main characters that's part of the team.
I mean, you wouldn't be missing it. He wouldn't be in the movie, but they would just be like referencing, oh, he's over there getting that done.
Every so often someone goes off screen, hey Rocket, what are you doing over there?
Yeah. I don't know. It was fine. I liked it.
All right.
I was glad I saw it, but it's a bit of a horror show.
Sure. I will say that I saw it twice, and I'm wondering if now that you know what's in it, the second watch would be better, because you wouldn't be like, oh, this is really dark. You would kind of know. You would know to expect it. Maybe you didn't know.
I kind of knew what was coming a little bit.
Really?
I just was surprised.
It was so disturbing. It just out-disturbed your expectation.
We'll talk about it in
Yeah, let's
spoilers.
get into spoilers.
I'm honestly talking less about
What I'm dancing
we'll
around?
Talk about it.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
let's get into it.
Okay. Let's letterbox rate this. I will give it 4.5 stars.
I will give it 3.5 stars.
I'll go 3.
Oh,
All right.
I was hoping for 2.5. Just nice little symmetry there.
A 3, a 3.5, and a 4.5 for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. We're moving into spoilers now. So if you haven't seen the movie and you don't want to be spoiled, you should pause right now. If you have seen the movie or you don't care about spoilers, then listen on. So I don't know if there's a big spoiler to this movie. It's more just I want to talk about, broader plot details and in the context of the other movies. So we should also say spoilers for the Guardians of the Galaxy movies in general, as well as, and specifically part 3. So yeah, the kind of big spoiler is that a big bulk of the movie is about Rocket Raccoon and his origin story as kind of a lab animal that's operated on and genetically mutated, kind of
enhanced
Ninja Turtle style, I would say.
I would say it's more purposeful than just pour ooze on him, see what happens.
That's true.
But
yeah, I agree.
I would say Wolverine style. He's genetically operated on.
Sure. And that's kind of where the big bad of the movie comes from. He's the guy that, created Rocket Raccoon from a baby raccoon to kind of a
What was that actor's name who played the High Evolutionary James? What was he called? What was his name?
What was his name?
Yeah, the actor's
The High
name.
Evolutionary.
Yeah, what was his actor's name?
Oh, I don't know. Do you want me to look it up?
Okay. Yeah, please.
I'll look it up. Are we going to wait while I look it up?
Yeah, no, I'll wait.
You'll wait.
Yep.
I'm not on the
I know
right
what it means.
page, so this might take a little while.
All right, that's fine. Okay, while you're looking up that guy's name, what I will say about the High Evolutionary is power-wise, he reminded me of Kang the Conqueror.
Right. Was it Chukwudi Iwuji?
Say that again?
Chukwudi Iwuji?
That's a different name than you said the first time. Which one is it?
It's this one. Chukwudi Iwuji.
Okay. Chukwudi Ouija board, maybe?
No, I didn't say that. How
All
dare
right,
you?
can we move on?
Yes, move on. I'm sorry. All right. Anyway, the High Evolutionary just reminded me of Kang in his powers. Like he just seemed to have like these Darth Vader like force powers where he could just move people and with his mind. And I didn't quite understand what his power set was and how to differentiate him from Kang, who we just saw in Ant-Man.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, did you guys get a sense of what his powers were?
No,
I got
but
a better sense than I did with Kang. Kang,
Yeah.
it seemed so amorphous. This one, I felt like he just, had incredible kind of force power, right?
mm-hmm.
Yeah, but right. It's just I couldn't tell if it was from his suit, from his
No, I think it was him.
mutant
genetically.
abilities or
Yeah.
something, or genetic abilities. Okay.
Yeah. He essentially like has evolved himself a million years.
Yeah. That being said, I thought he was an interesting character, and I really liked the performance.
Mm-hmm.
We just got another guy in a purple suit with force-like powers the last movie, so it's just having a little dissonance there.
Sure. I mean, I feel like this guy was more comic book villainy than Kang was in like the Ant-Man movie and stuff like that.
Right.
So I liked that about it. And I also liked that he had a personal connection to one of the characters in the Guardians. It wasn't like they just came across this guy who's doing a bad thing and so they have to get rid of him. There's like a personal reason for them to be involved with this guy. And I like that. And I think that has been missing from a lot of Marvel movies lately. And probably this could have been in the non-spoiler, but I think what I like about this movie is that it feels like a phase 1, phase 2 Marvel movie. It does not feel like a phase 3, phase 4 Marvel movie.
I think we're in phase 5 now.
Yeah. It feels like a self-contained thing that still exists in a bigger universe, but that we're not trying to weave our way into anything else that happened. There's still repercussions from other things that happened, like with Gamora and stuff like that. But that's not the point of this movie, is to lead to the next thing. And I think we've definitely had some of those in phase 3 and phase 4, like Shang-Chi and stuff like that. There's a couple other movies out there that are Marvel movies that don't have a lot of that pushed into them. But it does feel like a formula with some of the legacy people. Your Thors and your Ant-Mans of the world are just glorified Avengers movies, basically, without the Avengers in them. But like, as far as like pushing the bigger story, it's more about that than those characters. Whereas with these Guardians movies, they've managed to kind of keep them insular. And it stood out for that reason for me.
So obviously this movie like goes out of its way to make you see the most adorable, cutesy possible creatures, right? And then you show them being possibly happy. So like crazy cute little animals that are terrifying to look at, but like living their best life, having so much fun in their friendship, just Todd and Copper level of fun. And then they all die. And it's like in front of you, like tragically. And it's just like, that is heavy stuff, man.
Yeah.
Do they have to be that cute and that happy and that dead?
I didn't understand the purpose of the experiments on the other 3. Like Rocket's made sense because he was still a raccoon. They were enhancing him with implants and in his brain and whatever. Like the other ones all had, like claws for arms or like a mouth like from a Saw movie. And I was just trying to figure out like, where's the evolution in this? Like these just seem like torture experiments on these animals and not in trying to make the perfect being, which is what the high evolutionary seem to be wanting to create. Like, I'm not sure how a walrus with wheelchair legs is the perfect being.
You got to try everything.
Yeah, really. So I don't know. Like Rocket Raccoon, he made sense. The other 3, besides tugging at your heartstrings and like what can be cute and horrifying, look like Sid's toys. Besides that, didn't make much sense to me.
The Counter Earth also bothered me a little bit.
You mean the island of Dr. Moreau?
Yeah. So the
Yeah.
island of Dr. Moreau, like all of these humanoid animals walking around just has so many bad associations to me because of the island of Dr. Moreau.
Right. Yeah.
And it seems so silly. Have every house is a different species of animal, like, and they're living in like 1970s America for some reason. It just, and like clearly it's not a paradise,
Right.
in such a ham-fisted way. Like he walks by or they're driving by and seeing people fight in a dirty alley. It's just like, it's so silly.
Mm-hmm.
Is this the first Marvel movie to mention meth, the drug?
Yeah, maybe.
Probably.
Yeah, I that could be a comic book thing. Like, so I'm not going to fault James Gunn for adapting a story from the 60s, which were kind of a weird era in Marvel anyway, of like a goat people planet. But again, it didn't seem to be like that's what the High Evolutionary is trying to do, is just make animals into people. Like he keeps talking about wanting to make like the most evolved, the best. You know, he's obsessed with Rocket Raccoon because he has this higher level of thinking. But we get goat people.
Right.
Again, it's not connecting for me. It's not connecting.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they made much attempt to try to connect those things for you. I think he's just experimenting on different types of animals, and in his perfect society, all these animals get along. I'm gonna sneeze.
So he's trying to make his utopia.
Hold on, I gotta get a Kleenex. Talk amongst yourselves.
Okay.
All right, buddy. It just seems like he thought I may have achieved this. Let's spend hundreds of years building this civilization up
Right.
for the ground floor. But it's like, clearly you haven't achieved this. It's like at most you've recreated Earth where people live about like normal lives. It's not like everyone walking around as a genius who's like super strong. Like they're just normal average people. Right. At best, you recreated the 70s. You haven't improved upon anything.
Well, didn't he create the gold people, whatever they're called?
The Sovereign, yeah.
The Sovereign. Don't they seem way better off as like a civilization than the Center Earth people?
Yeah, I don't see it at all. It just makes no sense. And then what? His second attempt is going to be these little girls, right? So that's going to be like
that's right, all those little kids.
Yeah, but it's all girls, right?
It seemed to be, yes.
And he had them ready to go. It just, I don't see the through line, basically.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know, man.
What's the plan, High Evolutionary?
Yeah, what is the plan?
What's the plan?
I do like the idea of a counter Earth. That's actually been like a theory that people have had, that there's an Earth behind the sun, like orbiting around, and the sun just always blocks it, and so we can't detect that it's there.
I mean, it's pretty provable or disprovable, but
it's
a cool theory.
Yeah, but this is back in the day when we didn't have like, advanced electronics.
we couldn't send spaceships out to go peek for us.
Yeah, exactly.
Satellites and everything.
Yeah. So I like that idea. And I like the character of the High Evolutionary, but he didn't seem as smart as you'd think he would be.
He was very obsessed at the end, and I like that obsession.
I do too, but did he ever feel like one step ahead of everyone?
Well, no, because it seemed like Rocket Raccoon was smarter than he was.
Which shouldn't be the case, right?
Right, like... Why is Rocket Raccoon smarter than his creator?
I don't know why Rocket would keep around that key for just like a decade if he could make it again in like 5 seconds.
Well, is it not a keepsake, a reminder of where he came from?
It could be a reminder. I got the impression he kept it so that he could use it if needed. Like one day he planned on using it again.
It was convenient though that he needed to use it again.
I thought it was more like a reference to like raccoons being scavengers. You know what I mean? Like he's constantly just picking things up around him. And he does that throughout the movies.
Oh, no, sure.
So
but I'm just saying, like, he didn't really need to keep that key.
he doesn't need
if
to
he could
keep
just
anything.
remake
He
it.
keeps random stuff all the time, and then in the moment is able to make something out of it. You know what I mean?
Well, I got the
keeps
sense that he
everything.
took those things so that later on he could use them. Like he was purposely gathering stuff, not just out of like, habit, but because he was planning his escape and he knew anytime he could, he would grab something.
Yeah.
I saw I read it seemed like a retconned reasoning for why Rocket Raccoon is so obsessed with artificial limbs in the first two movies.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because his friends didn't have limbs. So
What do
that's
you mean
why,
it's a retcon? That's like part of the comics. It's part of his origin.
okay, but I'm talking from a movie perspective. I've never read the comics.
Okay,
right?
from an
So, like,
audience perspective, you're saying.
Right. In the first two movies, he's just obsessed with, I need this head. I need this fake arm. And it seems like a comedic thing of like, bring me this guy's ear or whatever it was.
Sure. Well,
and
it
then
is a
now they're
comedic
like,
thing.
but he does that because it reminds him of the friends he lost. So maybe it makes sense if you've read the comics, but there's been so little reference to his background in those first two movies. Like all we know was that he was experimented on. That's it.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, Rocket Raccoon is a character that has barely had any face time in the comics, period.
Right.
Like it's kind of crazy that he's as big a character in this movie as he is. Because it's not a big Marvel character. It's not even a big Guardians character. As far as just the Guardians in general are concerned. It's certainly gotten bigger since the advent of these movies. But if there ever was like a D-list Marvel character that's been made into somewhat of a A-list Marvel character, it's Rocket Raccoon for sure. Yeah.
There's just so much on the screen that was just repulsive to look at, which is like, I don't know, just not as fun as something that's fun to look at.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that pig soldier just is grotesque. That whole world that it's like organic,
Mm-hmm.
it's like an organic spaceship
Oh yeah.
where it's just like tissue and hair and viscera, like making everything.
Sure.
It's just like Cronenberg excess,
It's trauma through and through, that type of stuff. It's somebody with that mindset getting to make a really big budget movie and just
I
kind
know.
of
It's just not my bag.
Sure. I mean, you guys know I don't champion trauma films or even watch them or anything like that, but I do love that somebody from that world gets to make these movies because it's different. It's just different than, like, you compare that to the green screen CGI sets of Ant-Man, and I'll take this any day.
Oh yeah. I definitely like this more than Ant-Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
no
I
question.
didn't have huge problems with Ant-Man, but the world building in this is just so much more solid than that movie, in my opinion. Because
I liked this movie better than that.
Mhm.
If you're comparing the two, for sure. I
Yeah.
just think those aren't our only two options,
Sure.
I don't know. In phase 5 or whatever we're in now, it might be your only two options.
Yeah, it might be.
How
We're
much
pretty
do you
close
guys
to it.
care about Marvel anymore? Like on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being like I can never watch one again, 10 being I cannot wait for more Marvel. Marvel's is gonna be awesome. Like, where are you guys right now on Marvel?
For this movie, this was the Marvel movie I've been the most excited for a while.
Okay.
But that's because probably 1, James Gunn, and 2, it's more related to phase 1, 2, and 3 than it is the later phases. And yeah, I'm still interested in these movies, not as much excited for them, if that makes
Okay.
sense.
Yeah.
How about you, Zach?
Yeah. I haven't been too interested in any of them that have come out recently. I still have hope that like there's some awesome stories to be told, and I expect to see those, but I just haven't gotten them recently.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll probably keep watching them, especially since podcast and all. But I don't know if there's one I'm excited for anymore.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the current list of movies that they're going to release, there's not much on it that I'm like, I have to see that.
Yeah, like they're building the Secret Wars, but it just does not have the buildup that like Infinity War and Endgame had.
Sure.
I really don't care about Kang. He just doesn't interest me that much.
You're in luck, Zach, because there may not be much Kang around anymore. Or there may be new Kang. I mean, they may,
It'll be
for all I
different
know,
Kang.
they could somehow bring in the High Evolutionary and make him a variant of Kang, and bam, just slot him in as the new big bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
Can I say one other thing I did not like about this movie? And it's kind of endemic of a lot of Marvel movies.
Yeah.
They have these sets that like are very elaborate, but feel so contained and small. And so for this one, it was like their little town where they like have their headquarters or whatever.
Nowhere.
Yeah. It feels to me like I'm looking at a Xena Warrior Princess set where it's like it's one room inside a big warehouse where they've like made a circle of buildings that they can shoot anywhere they want in the middle of it and from any direction, and everything is like crafted, but like as soon as you go outside of it, it's all plywood and pylons and stuff. And it feels so small and contained. And it just doesn't feel like a real town. It feels like a set, like a very elaborate set.
Mm-hmm.
We went to Nowhere in the first movie, and that felt like a living spaceport. Like it had scale to it.
Right.
And this one does feel like it ran to Wishbone. Like
Wishbone.
whenever they do like a medieval town in Wishbone,
Yeah.
they'd be like, right, here's the well in the town center and the crier, and it's all going to be right here.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a little bit of. Did you guys watch the holiday special?
No.
I did with Kevin Bacon.
You'll feel the settiness of it even more if you watch the holiday special. Like they use that set extensively for that holiday special. The Nowhere.
Oh, is
set.
Kevin Bacon in it? Because there's a Kevin Bacon joke in this
Yeah,
movie.
that was essentially Kevin Bacon gets abducted by the Guardians to like cheer up Peter.
Specifically Drax and
Mantis.
Mantis, yeah.
And Nebula, maybe?
Nope.
Wait, is one of you said I should watch Holiday Special before this movie to like
I think I
better
did.
understand it?
I said it
Was
wasn't
it just for
required.
that joke? Was that the only reason?
No, it's because you like Drax and Mantis, and it's 40 minutes of mostly them
Gotcha.
together.
Don't you feel like we got a lot of Mantis this time?
We got a lot of Mantis.
I liked it.
I kind of like her. I don't know. She had like this childlike quality to her at times.
Mhm.
Like in that Space Hog scene when they're all in their colorful spacesuits. Like she was doing flips and bouncing off whatever this weird goo planet was that they're going to.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought like that actress, Palm, I can't think of her last name.
Mm-hmm.
She's having a lot of fun with it. I didn't like how she said something to Drax that hurt his feelings, and then she just made him forget it immediately. Like this seems like a really toxic friendship dynamic of like, oh, I hurt your feelings, not anymore.
Well, I mean, you got to consider the source, though. She obviously is not a person that intentionally hurts people's feelings. You know what I mean?
But you
So,
gotta live with your consequences. I don't
No.
intentionally hurt people's feelings too, but it happens.
so if you had the power when you accidentally hurt somebody's feelings to make them forget that you did that, you would
didn't
use that power.
accidentally anything.
You'd rather just
No,
them
she didn't
continue.
accidentally call him stupid. She did call him stupid.
It wasn't
Not
an
to his-
accident. She's
Yeah.
like, "Do you think that I'm dumb?" And she's like, "Yes, I do." Forget.
Yeah, because she knew that it wasn't going to hurt him long term.
No, because she knew that she could just take it away from him.
She's
So
trying to
it's
communicate with
abusive.
the third party in that scene.
Well, yeah, but like my wife says to me, when we talk about our child and he's right there, I can't talk to him about it in the third person. He's right there. All right. So like,
Wouldn't it be great if
just,
you could though, and then you just touch him on the head and say forget, and you were able to be completely honest with Megan, and also you didn't hurt his feelings?
Would you be okay with that, James?
Would I be okay with somebody touching my head and saying forget with my best interests in mind? 100%.
With their version
with
of your best
exactly.
interest of mind.
With somebody like Mantis, as far as we know her so far, being a person who has everybody's best interest in mind, yes.
No, she has her own best interest in mind. She heard Drax's feelings. She felt bad about it, so she made him forget. Now she's like, I don't feel bad anymore because he doesn't remember. That was not his best interest in mind. That was her best interest in mind.
No, I think it was his best interest in mind in the moment.
It's his best interest is to not be honest with him. Is for her not to be honest with him.
Yeah, because in that moment, that wouldn't have done anything for him. Right?
If I had a friend like Mantis, I think I would have a conversation with her at some point saying, don't use your forget powers on me. In fact, don't mess with my emotions at all.
That's going to be a lot of trust then, because how are you going to know?
Yeah, you'd never know.
It's like in Men in Black when they do the blinky thing. Like, do you blinky me again?
Right. It's exactly.
Yeah.
Well, for the record, if either of you have this power and you can save me from emotional distress, use the power. I'm fine with it.
Zach,
ignorance is bliss.
Okay, Joey Pants.
All right. Yeah, so I'm trying to think of what bigger things happened. So you've also got kind of like the resolution of the Gamora Peter Quills relationship, right?
So that felt like a nothing burger to me also, just because it was so one-sided.
What do you mean?
Well, it was pretty much Peter like talking to Gamora like it was his Gamora, and her constantly just being like, I'm not that Gamora. I'm not that Gamora. I'm not her. And eventually he like accepted it.
Hey guys, I might let you finish up the episode without me.
Okay.
I'm going to go tuck my daughter in.
Sounds good.
All right.
Thanks, Zach.
Thanks a lot, Zach.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
So you say it's one-sided because Gamora never, apologized? Made an attempt to get together with this guy she doesn't even know?
No, it was the same beat. I guess that's what it was for me. It was him saying, "Oh man, do you remember when this would happen?" And she's like, "No, I'm not him or her." And then the next scene, it'd be the exact. It was the same interaction over and over again. So I got a little tiresome of it, and it was more me being annoyed with Peter of like, okay, like get a hint here, like this is not your Gamora, and she's not gonna fall in love with you just because there was a version of her that did once.
Sure.
I know he gets there at the end of the movie, but they didn't do much with it besides that same interaction repeatedly.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It wasn't too much for me. I never got bored with it.
Okay.
But if you did, fair enough. I don't know. I liked the resolution because he does come to what I would consider the right conclusion, which is
yeah, I agree
that he needs to let this go. You know what I mean? And that that just because a sequence of events happened that made her trust and fall in love with him at one point does not mean you can force that to happen again.
Right.
Type of thing. Yeah, I like that. And I liked the idea that in the end, I think he realized that she could find happiness in places other than him, which I also think is a positive message for people to hear.
Yeah.
That hold on to unrequited loves, stuff like that. And people who can't imagine how other people could be happy without them in their life, type of thing. That there are other paths the universe can take. I like that. And yeah. And I liked that in the end, in the closing montage, generally everybody is good to go. You know what I mean? Like they wrapped it up.
Yeah.
Pretty well, I would say.
Like they definitely left it open to sequels, or let's follow the adventures of these various characters if they want to.
Right.
Or if not, like you feel like, okay, you can kind of extrapolate what happens from here.
Yeah. It's
if
like
you don't want to see
Rocket Raccoon, maybe not a healed character, but he's kind of gotten over his origin on some level.
He's got
Peter
the new Guardians with him now.
Peter has accepted this new reality without Gamora.
Mhm.
Gamora has found some level of family with the Reavers or whatever they're called.
Ravagers.
Trying to think.
Nebula is back to nowhere running that place.
Right. Drax is helping children.
Yeah, what was Drax doing?
She tells him, Nebula says, "You're coming with me because I need somebody to help with the children."
That's right. He goes to nowhere because he can speak the children's language.
Right. Because there's all
That's
these
right.
children everywhere that don't have parents, basically.
Yep.
And so he went from the guy who lost his daughter who was rageful to now he has, 100 children to raise.
Right.
So
And Mantis is off finding herself.
right. Because
She's
all
going to
she,
backpack through Europe or something like that.
yeah, all she knew was being Ego's assistant from Guardians 2.
Mhm.
And she went from that to kind of being the mother hen of the Guardians. So she doesn't
Yep.
really know herself. So everybody kind of has a mission, but none of those missions are like things we need to see happen.
Though I really get the impression we're getting another Star-Lord, the legendary Star-Lord movie,
Yeah, I guess
based on the teaser at the end there.
we could talk about that. The little stinger at the end where he comes
Yeah.
back to Earth. He's talking to his grandfather, right?
Mhm. Yep.
And he's sitting at the breakfast table and they flash Star-Lord will return.
The legendary
The
Star-Lord. will
legendary
return,
Star-Lord.
which
will
is, I guess,
return.
the continuation of the Star-Lord character in the comics, is my understanding.
Okay. So do you think it's going to be a movie? Because I don't know if they can release just a Star-Lord movie without the other Guardians in it.
Or do you think it'll be a TV show?
Or will he just show up in another Marvel movie?
He could show up. Yeah, I was trying to think, what kind of movie would this be? It was just Peter Quill.
Yeah.
Unless he immediately leaves Earth and goes back to space, which just seemed to...
My
betray
first
where the character's
inclination
going.
was they're just making an announcement that like Chris Pratt is not done. You know what I mean?
Right.
That like of the other series 1, series 2 or phase 1, phase 2 characters, you've got like Tony Stark is retired, the Captain America from that sequence is retired.
Oh, yeah, they're all...
Thor's still kicking, although everybody hated the last movie. So
Yep.
I'm not sure we'll get another Thor movie, but we might get Thor in movies. We'll probably definitely get Thor in movies. So I felt like they were kind of just
I thought you
making
didn't
an
like Thor in
announcement.
movies.
What?
I thought you didn't like Thor in movies.
Thor in movies?
Yeah, so the subtitles really bother you.
No. I don't know what a Thorin movie is. What is a
It's
Thorin movie?
It's a play on words, a foreign movie, a Thorin movie.
Oh.
Uh,
I bet I watch more foreign movies than you do.
I don't... More than I do?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I bet I do.
How many foreign movies from the
How can we
20th
find this
century
out?
do you watch?
How can we find this out?
I mean, Letterboxd. But
Oh, yeah. Let's letterbox it. Here we go.
Okay.
How do we...
Are we done talking Guardians here?
No, we're not. We're solving this, and then we will wrap up Guardians.
How do you define a foreign movie on Letterboxd?
A movie not in English.
Okay, so I have to go to my... All right, let's go here.
I think you
Well,
go to all-time stats, right?
We can't compare raw numbers because you've seen more movies than I have.
The question was, who sees more foreign movies?
Well, but I'm just saying, okay.
Who
I
has
guess I'm
seen
trying to
more
caveat
foreign
that,
movies?
Like, in comparison to other movies they watch. Yes. Have you seen more foreign movies? Most likely, just because you've seen more movies
Hey,
than I have.
that was the question. Who has
Oh,
seen
boy.
the most foreign movies? And I'm willing to bet it's me. Okay. Or are we just going to say non-US movies? That might be easier.
Sure. Again, you're gonna... We gotta do it by... Well, if it's just giving you like your top 10, though.
So if you scroll down on your all-time, you get bar
Yeah.
charts
Yeah, I see the bar
with
charts.
languages, right?
Yeah, I
So
see that.
what would you do? Take English and subtract it from your total movies watched? And that's all other
English
languages,
or
right?
US?
What?
English or US?
I was doing English, but we could do US if we want to consider UK films foreign films. UK
we
and
can do
Australia.
English. Just so you know, like a movie like Inglourious Bastards is going to have French and German tagged in it.
Right. This is not going to be perfect,
So,
but it'll be
okay.
close. It'll be our best guess within, 5 minutes on a podcast.
Okay, so take all my movies. Well, here's the thing: is that leaves me with 200 movies, and I've definitely seen more than 200 foreign movies.
I don't know.
So, okay, so I'm at about 10% if we do percentage wise.
Okay. I'm at 296 based on
Okay,
these numbers, which I believe is low
percentage of
as
that
well.
is of your watched.
We're not doing percentages.
Well, no,
the question was
now we're
who's
not,
seen
because
more
freaking-
more foreign
Yeah, of
movies.
course you've seen more because you've seen more movies than I have.
Right.
So I'm just saying, okay, we've established you have seen more movies than I have, hence you've seen more foreign movies. Now, what share of foreign movies have you seen? I'm saying that mine is 10% of my movies are not in English whatsoever. What percentage of your movies are not in English?
I don't know. How do I figure this out?
You take your, well, so you subtracted your English from your total watch, correct?
Right.
So what number is that?
296.
Now divide 296 by your total watched.
Okay. Oh, gotta move a window. 6%.
6%. So there we go.
But since I watch more movies in general, and in the United States, they produce more movies in general, it would make sense.
So you're just really you're just kind of xenophobic in your movie watching.
No.
Apparently. You're seeking out those U.S. productions.
That's just the reality that in the U.S. they release far more movies in English than any
Yes.
other language across the globe. So
You can talk all you want. I'm just saying my share is bigger.
okay, so this comes down to a mine is bigger argument.
Yes, mine is bigger.
All right, fair enough. Guardians of the Galaxy.
All right.
Final spoiler filled thoughts on Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, I mean I'm sure we'll see Star-Lord pop up again. There's a strong chance we could see these characters pop up again. Like
Mhm.
now that we know they're in nowhere and they're doing their new Guardians, and
Mm-hmm.
my impression is that Bautista might be done. I thought he was a 3 and done kind of guy.
I think he might be done too. I think if
Yeah.
anybody we're going to see again, it's going to be Rocket Raccoon and Groot, because
Yes.
the two guys that do those characters just cashing paychecks and sitting in a voice booth. You know what I mean? They will do this as long as people are cutting checks. I'm willing to bet.
What do you think of Groot's "I love you guys" at the end?
I hated it, to be honest.
Okay, so did you interpret that as Groot said "I love you guys," or did you interpret that as the audience understanding Groot now?
The first time I saw the movie, I interpreted it as he's saying different words, and then
okay,
and then I thought about it, and then on the second viewing, it made sense to me that it might be that now the audience is officially a part of the Guardians, so they can understand what Groot is saying.
just like Gamora is.
But I
yeah.
also think that it's dumb. He should just always say, "I am Groot," and the people who hang around him long enough can understand what he's saying, even though he's only saying, "I am Groot."
It would be like if they at the end of Return of the Jedi, Chewbacca opened his mouth and it was like, "Good job, everybody."
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
For sure. I thought it was dumb, but it didn't ruin the movie for me, obviously.
I thought it was kind of sweet.
Sure,
yeah.
I guess. Are you of the we're telling the audience they're in on the crew side?
Yes, I'm in on the latter of this. Now the audience can understand Groot too. Now, that being said, going forward, I do not want Groot talking normal dialogue. I just want I am Groot's from here on out.
Oh, interesting. You want him to go back to "I am Groot."
I think it's more interesting if he says I am Groot, and then Rocket's like, "No, we can't do that. I am Groot." It's more fun the interplay of the I am Groots.
100%, which is why they should have never done it.
But they're going for the little sentimental moments. It's the last time the team's together.
I get it. I get it.
He's also enormous now. I didn't realize Groot keeps growing. Like he was bigger in the first one. Like he was kind of tall and lanky, and then got destroyed and became Baby Groot, and it was like a teenager in number 2 or maybe one of the Infinity movies. I can't remember.
Right.
And in this one, he's sort of like jacked Groot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like
and
that.
now he's like the size of a old elm tree or something like that.
You know what we didn't talk about at all
What?
is the other guy. The guy who's
Kraglin?
kind of like a teenager through the movie, who's like really powerful. The guy all painted
Adam
with
Warlock.
blood. Yeah, Adam Warlock.
Oh yeah, we didn't talk about it at all. Yeah.
We didn't talk about that at all. Which is probably good because I didn't have a problem with it, but it
Didn't do much for me either,
was
but,
not a big part of the movie for me. I was kind of like, why are we spending time on this?
We didn't talk about Cosmo either.
Yeah. I mean, to me, Cosmo was just like, I know there's a little bit of a heartfelt moment at the end, but for the most part, just, humor.
Here's something weird we can add to the Guardians universe.
Right. It is fun to see Maria Bakalova, though, voice.
Right. Well, here.
Yeah.
Yeah. My favorite faux online outrage right now is that Cosmo is voiced by a woman and not a man.
Who cares?
Because I know exactly. Well, I was reading some of the comments because I'm like, okay, what's the big deal here?
Right.
And the 2 points were that he's canonically a boy, and he's always referred to as a good boy. Like, in the movie, they keep saying you're a good dog, but in the comics, they said, "Oh, you're a good boy." And the rationale that this thread came to was, oh, well, that voice is computer generated, because I guess the other thing is Cosmo can speak telepathically, doesn't actually
speak
talk
out loud. Sure.
Right. So that would make it really hard for a movie if there's a telepathic talking dog to everyone. Like, I get why they made a voice modulator. The other rationale they came up with is like, oh, well, they just chose a female voice for the voice modulator. It's still a boy dog. I was like, oh, okay, trolls.
Yeah, hold on to that one.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, what a dumb thing to worry about.
Well, yeah, but anytime any comic book makes any change away from a male character or a white character,
sure,
people blow up.
Yeah. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, but
no, it doesn't at all. So, yep.
All right. Anything else?
I think that's all I have on the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
Me as well.
Oh, I have one more.
Okay.
Do you think when this movie goes to Disney Plus, they'll leave the F-bomb in?
Do I think they'll leave the F-bomb in?
Yeah.
I don't know. Do they have a history of doing that? I know they have a history of like kind of retconning some animated film stuff, but
they removed a butt from Splash.
Yeah, that's visual though.
I know.
And that was like back when the ratings board didn't really know what they were doing. Like, had that been rated today, there wouldn't have been a butt in it.
I see what you're saying. They would have cut that part out of the movie to keep whatever rating they wanted.
Right.
Yeah.
Or it would have gotten a higher rating than it originally got.
I don't know. I feel like Disney Plus is recognizing that their service is not just for kids.
Sure. I mean, I might put an extra warning at the beginning of the movie in general. So it's like, this is PG-13, but you should know it features scenes of animals in peril.
This is a hard PG-13, I would say.
Yeah. I mean, there's no real guideline for like animal peril in the MPAA guidebook. And so I don't know what it would take to get an R for that type of stuff, but they can certainly count curse words, and they counted 1, and that's good enough for a PG-13.
Exactly.
So.
They got their one non-sexual F-bomb in there.
Right. And there's still no blood. I mean, there's like blood droplets like on Rocket's back when he first gets the implants and stuff like that, but it's not excessive in any way.
I mean, I would say the High Evolutionary's face at the end, that's pretty gory. Like
Pretty gory.
that was a sneak in right there for sure.
Yep. I'm sure they were a little worried about that scene.
Yeah.
It might have been like, I know certainly Kevin Smith has talked about this, that when he sends a cut to the MPAA, he can pretty much guess which scenes they're going to have a problem with.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And most of the time he overdoes it, knowing that there's a possibility he might have to cut back.
Mm-hmm.
But he's been pleasantly surprised that almost every time it passes.
Yeah.
Even though he overdoes it. I wonder if that scene with that grotesque face was them overdoing it and then it slipped by, but they were ready for like a slightly less
Right.
gory version of it. Yeah.
Got that one in. Yeah.
Right. I'm curious. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Any change of your ranking? No.
No, I'm gonna stick with my 3.5.
3.5. I'll stick with my 4.5 as well. Not a perfect movie. I will say, whether you like the movie or not, doesn't really matter. James Gunn is the real winner in all of this. I mean, for a dude that's canceled, he's doing amazing.
He's doing pretty well for himself. He's got Marvel and DC.
Maybe the only person I've ever heard of who came out of being canceled and not only came back, but probably is doing better than he would have been doing had he not been canceled.
Yep.
Like, it's crazy. So, anyway, thank you for joining us for this episode 582 of the Cinereelists. We appreciate your listenership. Again, don't forget, subscribe to us on YouTube. Watch while you listen. Support us on Patreon. We appreciate that. Leave us an Apple Podcast review. That one's free. Or send us an email to heyguys@cinereelists.com and we will discuss it on the podcast. Also, follow us on social media on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok @Cinereelists. Or you can follow me on my personal Twitter or Letterboxd account @YoJRB.
You can find me on Letterboxd @PeterSKB.
You can follow Zach @Schaubin on Letterboxd or Twitter. And we will see you guys next time when we will be discussing the 10th Fast and Furious movie, which is supposedly the last, although I've heard rumors that it's
second
not
to
the
last.
Right, but I knew it was the second to last,
Yeah.
but I've heard rumors that there's actually 3 movies in this final series.
Yeah, so originally it was supposed to be a 10 series run, and then they said now it's 11, and I would not be surprised if they made it 12.
Right. They're calling it the finale film trilogy.
Oh my
now.
God. Yeah, it's the beginning of the end, the finale. I've got some thoughts. I love Fast and Furious, so I got some thoughts that we can discuss next week.
Sure. So looking forward to that. We'll see you guys there. Until then, keep it cinereal.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.